All right. It's like a Furch Vintage 2. First impressions, it's like very precise, very clean cut. Like precision is definitely in mind when they make these. Okay, so I'd say the tone, it's thunderous but controlled in the low end, so you can definitely feel it as you're playing it. But also with that, it has a very nice top end. It would probably come off as bright to some people, as in a little too bright for some players, that is. To me, it seems very balanced. You hear the whole spectrum, but you're going to have that brightness. It's going to help you cut through a lot better in a jam or even in a mix that you wouldn't really have to EQ very much.
This guitar has a really, really balanced tone, and sometimes with this combination of wood, the Sitka and the Indian rosewood can sound a bit muddy, especially with this body size. And with this guitar, it's really balanced. And so when I'm playing with my thumb, I hit pretty hard, but I'm still getting a lot of treble along with the bass. So like when I'm doing like these kind of like it's rumbly, but I'm still getting a lot of the treble. So it's cool to have that kind of balance in a guitar like this.
Wow. So there's a lot to say about this guitar. This guitar is a little on the brighter side, but is super responsive and resonant. It has a lot of sustain and just kind of continual, almost, I don't know, there's a certain resonance, there's a lot of overtones. It makes you want to play kind of sweeter, maybe not as aggressive because of how lively it seems at the top is. Yeah, a lot of overtones and just really, really pleasant playing experience. The neck feels great.
I think, at least compared to a lot of others that I've played, I think this guitar is a tad bit brighter. Not in a bad way by any means, just a little bit brighter. I think it's got great volume though. And sometimes I think some of these rosewood dreadnoughts may be slightly dark. So I kind of like that this has a little bit more presence and still got plenty of bass. Yeah, I think it's a really great sounding guitar. I really like the way it sounds a lot. I've played a handful of these, and I've never been disappointed by one.
The thing that I don't like about this guitar is the tusk, saddle, and nut. There's nothing wrong with the tusk material, but I've just like bone nuts and saddles a lot better than tusk. It's just very much an opinion for me, but I really like a bone nut and saddle on a guitar.
The only thing for me that's a little interesting is the almost like half gloss, like matte finish that they do. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'd have to research that a little bit more, but it's not like a full gloss finish, which is interesting. I'm curious what that would look like with time, but I think it sounds great, and that obviously attributes, or seems to attribute to the tone and kind of the liveliness that it has. Maybe just a thinner coat.
The one thing I just have never liked about these, and this is purely aesthetic, it's the pickguard. I don't like the pickguard they use, but that's like the only thing that I really find that I would say something negative about.
The playability on this guitar is pretty spectacular. I think that these are even 13s that are installed on this guitar, so it's got medium strings. But for me, as a finger stylist and somebody who doesn't play a lot of bluegrass and doesn't really like super high action, this plays pretty well. I've noticed most Furks are set up with lower action, and I really like that. The neck is pretty nice too. It's a nice even C. Not very sharp around the edges. Sometimes necks get I can just feel the edges a lot more, and this one doesn't have that. And I actually really like this semi satin finish on it. My concern with something like this is with a lot of play, you may get some interesting wear. And for me in particular, I like when a guitar has a little bit more personality, so it wouldn't bother me, but this might have some interesting finish markings.
Okay, so the overall feeling and playability of this guitar, I believe that Furch does a little bit of a wider neck. This is definitely in that 1 3/4 spec, but it feels a little bit wider in actual nut width than that. I think they do it just a little bit wider. But there's a lot of width between the strings, which is nice for flat picking or finger picking. Somebody who has a gentler touch, I think, would find a lot of responsiveness.
I would describe the playability as very easy. It's very easy to fret. Set up really well out of the box. The neck set's great. The neck is a little bit flat for my preference, though, as far as it's that D sort of shape instead of the C, which I kind of go off of. Your hand kind of makes a natural V almost, but just to my specific hand, it's probably a little flat, but some players definitely like that.
Furch classifies this neck as a soft V. Every time I've played one, I've never really felt much of a V to it. I think it's one of the most comfortable neck profiles that we keep in the shop, or that I've just played in general. It's super easy to play. It feels very perfect, for lack of better words. It feels very extremely detailed when they kind of set it up, and I think it feels exactly like you'd want a guitar to feel when you play it. And I've always thought that these just feel wonderful.
This guitar would lend itself really good to bluegrass, obviously, just the body shape and the way it attacks. It's really loud. Finger styling actually works pretty good on this too. For my particular style of playing, I probably wouldn't want this because dreadnoughts are usually kind of uncomfortable for me to play. It's an awkward body size for my playing, and I think that with my style of finger playing, it just may get a little bit overpowering.
So the style of music, I think this would be wonderful for probably 2 top ones. You could definitely play this in a bluegrass jam. And that top end that this has, that some dreadnoughts don't necessarily have. I mean, it's still round on the top end. So it's gonna have, to me, it has that characteristic of relatable to a Thompson or a Bourgeois or something that has that roundness on the top end. And that's just 2 brands that I've heard that, and there's many that do that. But it has that thickness, that roundness on the top end, but it also has that shimmer that's gonna help you cut through really, really well, I think. Second one being definitely a country strummer. Put a pickup in this and do your best George Strait. Or just, it's gonna be a great solid rhythm behind any country track, I think. And yeah, it definitely has the look too.
I probably wouldn't buy this guitar, but their OMs are pretty dang good, and I would be pretty excited to have a Furch OM.
Would I purchase this guitar? If it was the right circumstance, and if this was something I was looking for, something a little bit more open, resonant, sweeter sounding, with a little bit more brightness than what I typically would look for, potentially. But this is not the type of guitar right now that I'm looking for. I do like what I'm getting out of it, though, and it kind of it seems to be eliciting a different style of play out of me, which is cool. You know, that's what you want. You want guitars that serve different applications in your life, and this is definitely one that would serve a different application for me. So I think I could do some cool stuff on it.
I would definitely consider this as a guitar option. Another thing that's like, I personally own a Thompson, and I definitely think this is a great sleeper Thompson option. If you want something that's gonna have that same feel and stuff, this is definitely a great option for that. But yes, I would definitely get me one of these babies.
Yeah, I would absolutely, buy this guitar. If I was looking for something that I needed to be dependable, that I know plays good, that's going to sound good, this would definitely be in the running for me. And especially at this price point, around $2,500 or just shy of, I think this is a awesome option.